So you have to be a little persistent because their argument was, well, they didn't pay through the blah, blah, blah. So you want to ask to talk to a supervisor. They would not put it in the system. They're talking about copay. So it goes to the medical center. And once they realize that, they hit a button called courier. And then it sends through. Don't tell Robert Downey Jr. this stuff. No, I'm joking. We know Robert got better. But what I'm trying to say is that they may be confused. You tell them the company name, you say Roadie, and you show them everything. It wouldn't be in there if it wasn't paid for. So don't go, oh, well, I guess I'll cover that charge. But they can send it to the medical center to cover the charge. That's all I'm gonna say. And also always keep it kind of in the same place. Got it? Now, Irishman stuff. Just to let you know, this episode is brought to you by MetRx. I used to live on these things in New York. Don't eat them all the time, but they're full of vitamins. They're a meal replacement. It's not like eating a steak or anything. Sometimes it's 30 grams of protein. They put iron in it. They put potassium, all kinds of stuff. Every once in a while, have yourself a MetRx. Also, it's good for, building that kind of thing, the UFC muscles. But guys, don't eat these all the time, but every once in a while. Peanut butter, pretzel. Not my favorite. I like the vanilla straight up, the old school. The 100 ones, remember those? The vanilla ones, those things were addictive. We took them off the market. Now we have to eat pretzels with peanut butter. I gotta mess up. What is that? I guess Full Metal Jackets. I don't think this would be going to a school. I gotta figure this out. So they're saying this is actually a rehab, but I'm trying to figure out. I put it in the system through Google. It takes me down the road. This is it's a misdrop on this, so I'm gonna have to go to this other area. Reminds me, there's a bunch of police here. It's a high school, but they misdropped it about a mile or 0.5 mile down the way. And I was thinking of the movie Over the Edge, which is Jonathan Kaplan. Tim Hunter did River's Edge, and I saw 8 years ago, Richard Linklater is a big fan of Tim Hunter. I just found out about Tim Hunter and Jonathan Kaplan just the other day. I learn as I go. But Over the Edge, I love that film. It's Matt Dillon at a very young age. I'm a big fan of River's Edge and Crispin Glover. I think Crispin Glover is great in everything he does. And the big argument on River's Edge is his style of acting being over the top, and I do agree it should have been completely. Even though it was based kind of in realism, Keanu Reeves had more of a realistic kind of... to me, it was all real. I've met people that were pretty over the edge. I don't think it was far from the truth, but I know what they mean, because Crispin was saying, well, why don't we could try it subtle, and they're like, no, we like the way you brought in the audition, and then they went with that style on River's Edge. But Jonathan Kaplan's a heck of a director. Only one masterpiece, which was, well, I haven't seen all his work, but it's definitely one masterpiece. Yeah, this is where it is right here. One masterpiece, which is Over the Edge, which is a high school drama. And River's Edge is Tim Hunter's direction. But Tim Hunter was involved in Over the Edge as being a writer. And they're both superb pictures. It's funny that Richard Linklater was talking about that just the other day. This is the right area. This looks like the drop. Okay, good. Actually, okay. So rehab finally. Drop that off. Been to a few. Well, actually, mine are more related. They're all about the same. All right, we got it. Finally, gotta wait. I'm gonna head back. Pass over Rockwall right to Fort Worth. Go see Kitty and Linda. That's Dallas, Texas. All right, we made it to Dallas. When we come through here, we'll see the Reunion Tower. I'll be taking like the first one. I know that there's two Margarets involved in the bridges. Margaret Hunt and another Margaret. They're philanthropists, but I think they're two different people that built these bridges, or at least they funded them. And Margaret Hunt's name is definitely on them. But like I always do, I'll look after I pass. Here is the Reunion Tower. Movie like Tree of Life. Terrence Malick used the actual tower. And there's one of the bridges. I call it the Margaret Bridges. And here's the other. Two bridges are Margaret McDermott and Margaret Hunt Hill. The one that was further away was Margaret Hunt Hill. That's the one that has kind of like the suspension looking. The two that are carved, or that are kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a hill. There's two of them. They make like almost like an M, you could say. That one is Margaret McDermott. They're both the Margaret Bridges. Margaret McDermott was the one we crossed over on Interstate 30. The other is known as Margaret Hunt Hill. So they have two different names, Margaret McDermott and Margaret Hunt Hill. Those are two separate bridges. Didn't know that until I passed it maybe a few days ago or so, maybe like a week ago, that they're two different philanthropists, Margaret McDermott and Margaret Hunt Hill. The one we usually go over is the Margaret McDermott, and I'd have to probably read up a little bit about her. The last name is a pretty tough one, McDermott. And the Margaret Hunt Hill, it's a little easier to say. That one has the suspension that keeps it. It looks like a suspension bridge. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that there were some workers that died making those bridges, and my hat's off to them. But it's a pretty cool site. I'll try to do a little bit of research on it eventually if I can. Margaret McDermott Bridge is a pier and beam bridge. The bike lanes are on the side, and they are basically in place with cable that are stayed there to keep it stable. So it actually does have cables on the Margaret McDermott Bridge, which was constructed in 2012 on Interstate 30. It replaced the bridge that was there in the 1950s and 60s in 2012. And Margaret McDermott is a philanthropist. Pier and beam is what they go on. All right, so Margaret Hunt Hill is a cable-stayed bridge. She was born in Arkansas in 1915. In 1938, she moved to Dallas. She's a philanthropist and a Harris. She constructed that bridge, or she gave the money for that bridge to be made. Cable-stayed bridge is what they call it. Just to let you know, on Margaret Hunt Hill, her bridge was part of the Trinity River Project when that was constructed. The designer with Hunter Hill Bridge, Margaret Hunter Hill Bridge, is Santiago Calatrava. And he designed it. He was the architect. Hunter Hill, Margaret Hunter Hill's bridge, and it was Calatrava, Santiago Calatrava, who designed it. It was constructed in March of 2012. Pretty cool engine. I'm gonna go back in and see what happens. There we go. That's Rooster Booster Snack Break, which is a Rooster Booster, is brought to you by Munchies and Hot and Spicy Lance. Really good, really good. These are flaming hot ones right here. These are really good. And our exit, before we get to Six Flags, which will be closed right now, will be off of Ripley, believe it or not, and the Wax Museum. They also did Dr. Blood there. Really scary one. They dressed up, looked like these characters from Logan's Run with the white. They were dressed all white. They were like mannequins. They're real still. And when you passed by them, they moved and scared you. They were really scary. Dr. Bloods. I think now they use them at Cutting Edge Haunted House. All right, headed back. Here we go. Hang on. You never know. They say even if it's 6 inches of water, be careful. Yeah, I am. But this right here goes like right here. So I'm here. How you doing? I know, I'm taking them off. Nice to see you. Where's the light? There it is. There's Kid. I'll wash my hands. Hands are washed. Guys, so happy that you're here. It's very wet outside. It's raining. And I got editing to do. We have to feed the cat. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And y'all have a good night.